Greece, an economic tragedy in 6 charts. In 6 years, Greece's economy has spiraled downward and has brought the country to a confrontation with the rest of Europe in early 2015. The newly elected government, headed by Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras, is demanding relief from its reform and restructuring program. How did Greece arrive at this situation? This is Paolo Mauro with 6 charts tracing the country's descent into its difficulties. In 2009, 1 year after the start of the global economic and financial crisis, Greece faced a challenging economy, but no more so than other European economies. Its fiscal balance did not appear to be unusually weak. Discussions of its poor public financial management and fiscal risks were couched in obscure and technical language. Its problems were largely ignored. All that changed when it was disclosed that Greece had essentially misreported the state of its public finances. The true size of its fiscal deficit was repeatedly adjusted upward. It was finally placed at a staggering 15.6% of GDP for the year 2009. Thus, the Eurozone crisis began. A series of programs was negotiated between Greece and the so-called Troika, consisting of European Commission, European Central Bank, and International Monetary Fund. As a result, Greece reduced its fiscal deficit to less than 3% of GDP in 2014. The reduction was accomplished primarily by cutting current expenditures, including pension reform and a lower wage bill in the public sector. Revenues from income taxation were also increased as a share of GDP. The primary fiscal balance, that is, the fiscal balance excluding interest payments, is estimated to be in surplus by the equivalent of 1.5% of GDP in 2014. This is a larger surplus than other countries strongly affected by the crisis, such as Portugal. But using ratios to GDP, as is customary in macroeconomics, masks the hardship that Greek citizens are experiencing. The crisis has produced a severe drop in Greece's economic output. If you put the 2007 level of real GDP in Greece as 100, real GDP has declined to 77 in 2014, a tragic outcome. By comparison, real GDP for the Eurozone returned to about 100. In the United States, real GDP recovered and then rose to 109. The human cost of the crisis has been tremendous. Real wages have fallen to levels not seen since 2001. The overall unemployment rate at end 2014 reached more than 25%, and 1 out of 2 youth in the labor force is out of a job. With the collapse in output, tax revenues also collapsed. Combined with the need to reduce fiscal deficits, this implied a major cut in real government expenditures per capita. Thus, the typical citizen saw its provision of public goods and services curtailed by about 25% since 2007. During the same period, Greece's ratio of general government debt to GDP has risen. It went from 113% of GDP at end 2008 to 175% of GDP at end 2014. Some analysts say that this shows Greece's fiscal problems have worsened and that its sacrifice has been insufficient. That is an unfair characterization. The ratio has gone up because of the contraction of GDP, not because Greece has failed to curb its appetite for fiscal deficits and debt. Another thing to keep in mind is that the public debt has changed hands. Prior to the crisis, 2/3 of Greek government debt were in the hands of the non-Greek private sector. Today, the bulk of Greek government debt consists of official loans from the European Financial Stability Fund, the European Stabilization Mechanism, and other European governments. This debt carries interest rates less than a percentage point above funding costs, has maturities of 20 or more years, and does not start to be repaid until the next decade. The transfer of debt from the private sector to European official creditors has changed the political dynamics of the Greek crisis. Ultimately, Greece's creditors are now for the most part other European taxpayers who may be reluctant to provide as much debt relief as is being demanded by Athens. Mr. Tsipras' government is now in negotiations with the European authorities over a future mix of debt relief, fiscal adjustment, and economic reforms. The Peterson Institute for International Economics will continue to follow and contribute to the debate on this important crisis, which is being carefully watched around the world because of concern about its far-reaching impact.